This exercise is asking, with the help of a prime factor tree, simplify the square root of 12. So we'll take the square root of 12, and I'll now refer to the number under the root, which is 12, and I'll ask a simple question: what two numbers can I multiply together to give me 12? And the answer is 2 and 6. Now, if you have a look at the 2, it is an example of a prime. And what this means is that this is the branch of a factor tree, and this branch stops because we've just found a prime number. Now, 6 is not a prime number, so now I ask, what two numbers can I multiply together to give me 6? And the answer is 2 times 3. So I write down the 2 times 3, and of course the 2 is a prime number, so this stops this branch of the factor tree. And of course, if we look at the 3, it's also a prime number, so it stops this branch of the factor tree. I'll put this factor tree to one side, and now I'll home in on all of the circled numbers. They're circled in red, and you can see you've got 2 2s and a 3. So I'll extract those, and I'll bring them here. And now what we do, we multiply them all together. And of course, 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. So we can see that 2 times 2 times 3 gives us 12. And what we're doing here, we're expressing 12 in its prime factors. Now, 2 times 2, well, we can write that as 2 squared, and then we bring the multiplication and the 3 down, and this also will equal 12. Now, I can continue by saying that 2 squared is equal to 4, and I can bring this as 4 times 3, and of course 4 times 3 equals 12. I'm now going to swap these around. I'm going to put 12 on this side of the equal sign, and the 4 times the 3 on the other. So these two are the same. They've just been put on different sides of the equal sign. I'm now going to take the square root of 12, and I'm going to take the square root of 4 times 3. And 4 times 3 is obviously 12. I'm going to continue the workings on the next slide, and you can see I can write the square root of 12 is equal to, and I can split this root up as follows. I can write the square root of 4 in its own root sign, under its own root. I can bring the multiplication to this point and not have it under a root. And then I can put the 3 in its own root as shown here. So it is a general rule that you can take this and split it as shown here. Now, this is a general rule that I introduced earlier in the playlist, and it's one that frankly you need to understand or at least memorize. Continuing, we can write the square root of 12 equals, now the square root of 4 is 2, so we can bring the 2 down instead of bringing the square root of 4 down. And then of course we can multiply by the square root of 3. We can go further and say that the square root of 12 is equal to 2 square root 3. And essentially what's happened, if you look at this and compare it to this, we've removed the multiplication sign. Now that's allowed because when you see this, a 2 immediately followed by the root, in this case the root of 3, it implies there is a multiplication between the 2 and the square root of 3. So this is the solution to the exercise.